For over 2,000 years, the tomb of China's first emperor has remained sealed, untouched by time and fear. Buried beneath a massive earth mound near the Terracotta Army,
They built mechanical traps, rivers of mercury, a kingdom beneath the earth.
this ancient chamber is rumored to hold secrets so deadly, scientists are terrified to break it open. So why, in 2025, are experts still refusing to open it? What are they so afraid of uncovering? This is why scientists are terrified of opening the tomb of China's first emperor, and the truth may be more dangerous than anyone imagined. The emperor who wanted to live forever. Over 2,000 years ago, China was not one country. It was made up of several powerful kingdoms that often fought one another for land and control. This long period of conflict was known as the Warring States period. Each state had its own laws, coins, and traditions. Peace was rare, and rulers constantly looked for ways to defeat their neighbors and expand their territory. In the western state of Qin, a young prince named Ying Zheng was born in 259 BC. He would later become known as Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. Ying Zheng became king at the age of just 13, after the death of his father, King Zhuangxiang. Although he was still very young, the boy was already surrounded by ambitious ministers, advisors, and generals who helped him keep power while he was growing up. As he grew older, Ying Zheng proved to be a strong and determined leader. He wanted to do more than simply rule his own state. He dreamed of something much bigger, to unite all the rival states under one ruler, one law, and one nation. This was something no one had ever done before in China. For nearly 10 years, he led his armies in a series of military campaigns across the region. One by one, the other kingdoms fell to the power of Qin. His soldiers used advanced weapons, organized formations, and strict discipline to defeat their enemies. By the year 221 BC, he had conquered all 6 of the other major states: Han, Zhao, Wei, Chu, Yan, and Qi. For the first time in Chinese history, the land was unified under one emperor. After his victory, Ying Zheng declared himself Qin Shi Huangdi, meaning First Emperor of Qin. He believed his rule was the start of a new era in Chinese history, and he wanted to make sure that his new empire would last forever. To do that, he started to reorganize the entire country. Qin Shi Huang introduced a single standard system of writing across his empire, replacing local scripts so that everyone could understand the same characters. This helped unify communication and record-keeping. He also created a national currency, so that coins had the same shape and value in every region. Weights and measures were standardized too, which made trade and taxation more efficient and fair across the empire. Even the width of cart axles was regulated, so that all carts could fit on the same roads. To protect the empire's borders, Qin Shi Huang ordered the connection and strengthening of earlier walls built by rival states. These efforts formed the early foundation of what would later become the Great Wall of China. It was a huge task that required thousands of workers, many of whom were soldiers, laborers, or prisoners. The goal was to stop northern nomads from raiding the settled regions of China. Inside the empire, he ordered the construction of wide roads, bridges, and canals to connect distant provinces. These made it easier to move armies, goods, and messages throughout the country. Local rulers were removed and replaced with officials chosen by the emperor, making sure that no one else could build power and challenge his authority. But while Qin Shi Huang worked to strengthen his empire on the outside, he also had a deep fear that was growing inside him, the fear of death. He simply wanted to rule forever. Qin Shi Huang became obsessed with the idea of immortality. He sent teams of scholars, doctors, and alchemists across the land to search for ways to keep him alive forever. Some were ordered to sail to distant islands in search of magical herbs or elixirs. Others worked in secret laboratories, trying to create potions that would stop aging. One of the substances he consumed often was mercury. We know that mercury is highly toxic and can lead to serious illness and death. But back then, the emperor trusted the advice of those around him and drank it in the hope of living forever. Qin Shi Huang's need to control everything around him, laws, roads, writing, people, extended to the one thing he could not truly conquer, death itself. And so, from the time he became king at the age of 13, he began planning for something that would help him continue ruling even after his life ended. What he began building was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Building a kingdom beneath the earth. At the time, no one could have guessed how massive the project would become. As the emperor grew in power, his vision for the afterlife expanded too. He did not want a simple tomb. He wanted an entire kingdom built beneath the earth. To build this enormous underground complex, the emperor ordered the labor of more than 700,000 workers. These included soldiers, craftsmen, prisoners, and conscripted peasants brought from across all the newly unified states. Some historians believe this number might have been exaggerated in ancient records, but archaeological evidence confirms that the project was enormous and would have required a vast workforce over many years. The construction went on for nearly 4 decades. The project continued throughout Qin Shi Huang's reign and was still being worked on when he died in 210 BC. It likely remained unfinished when a peasant rebellion broke out near the end of the Qin dynasty, forcing construction to stop. The location chosen for the tomb was Mount Li, near the city of Shenyang, the imperial capital. This area was considered special for its natural resources. Ancient Chinese texts say that the northern side of the mountain was rich in gold, while the southern side had valuable jade. The emperor, who was known for believing in symbols and omens, chose this site because it was thought to have lucky or auspicious geography. The design of the tomb complex was not random. It was carefully modeled after the layout of Xianyang, the capital city of the Qin dynasty. Just as the living emperor ruled from his palace in the capital, the dead emperor would continue to rule from a mirrored palace in the afterlife. The underground tomb included city walls, watchtowers, official buildings, and living quarters. Everything a ruler needed in life was rebuilt underground in miniature form. This underground city was divided into 2 main sections, an inner city and an outer city. The inner city, which covered about 1.5 miles in circumference, was where the central tomb and key structures were located. The outer city, surrounding it, was much larger, about 4 miles around. These walls were made of packed earth, just like those in the real capital, and were designed to protect the emperor's resting place, even in death. Inside the walls, archaeologists have found evidence of a detailed and organized city plan. There were stables for horses, kitchens for preparing food, and storehouses filled with supplies. Other parts of the complex included courtyards, gardens, ceremonial halls, and administrative buildings. Even an imperial park with lifelike bronze birds and musicians was created to entertain the emperor's spirit. In one area of the complex, archaeologists found bronze chariots and life-sized horses, carefully arranged as if they were ready for a royal parade. These chariots were made with incredible skill, using thousands of individual parts. The horses had reins, saddles, and decorative trimmings. Some were even fitted with bronze umbrellas to shade the emperor from the sun, though of course, there would be no sunlight in the world below. The builders also created complex drainage systems under the tomb to prevent flooding. Records suggest that during construction, workers may have dug deep enough to reach groundwater. Modern surveys using radar and soil analysis have confirmed that the underground water table in the area is about 98 feet below the surface. The presence of drainage channels, underground dams, and sealed walls shows that the builders were thinking carefully about long-term protection for the structure. What makes this complex even more astonishing is its size. The entire site, known today as the mausoleum of the first Qin emperor, stretches across nearly 38 square miles. That's larger than many modern cities. Most of it remains buried, and only parts have been excavated. Even after 50 years of research and digging, archaeologists believe they have uncovered just a small portion of the whole underground complex. One of the most interesting parts of the design is the direction it faces. To the east of the central tomb mound, the emperor placed his strongest protection. The eastern side was where the 6 former enemy kingdoms had once stood. These were the same kingdoms he had defeated to unify China. It seems that even in death, Qin Shi Huang wanted to guard himself from possible revenge. Though he had ruled as emperor during life, he clearly feared the unrest and danger that might come from the very people he had conquered. But this underground kingdom was not left unguarded. Lined up in battle formation, something extraordinary was placed at the edge of the complex. The Army of Clay. For nearly 2,000 years, the great tomb complex of Qin Shi Huang lay hidden beneath layers of earth and silence. Locals in the area had long heard strange stories about buried treasures in mysterious hills, but no one had ever truly uncovered what was there. That changed in the spring of 1974, when a group of farmers digging a well in a field near the city of Xi'an made an astonishing discovery. While digging, one of the farmers struck something hard underground. It was a piece of carved clay. As they continued, more fragments began to appear. A head here, a torso there, and the tip of a bronze weapon. They had no idea that they had just uncovered the edge of one of the greatest archaeological finds in human history. Local officials were alerted, and soon a team of archaeologists arrived. As they began their work, they uncovered more and more pieces until it became clear that this was no ordinary burial site. Lying beneath the soil, in carefully arranged battle formations, were thousands of life-sized clay soldiers. Today, we know this discovery as the Terracotta Army. So far, more than 8,000 individual warriors have been found in the main pits, and many still remain buried. What makes this army even more impressive is that no two soldiers are exactly the same. Each figure has unique facial features, hairstyles, clothing, and expressions. Some have mustaches, some are clean-shaven. Some look stern and focused, while others appear calm or even slightly amused. Scholars believe that these figures may have been modeled on real people, possibly soldiers who served in the emperor's army during his lifetime. But it wasn't just soldiers who were buried here. As more pits were explored, archaeologists found chariots with horses made of terracotta, lined up as if ready to charge. They also discovered figures of generals, archers, foot soldiers, and cavalrymen. Some were kneeling with crossbows, while others stood tall, holding long spears. A few even held real bronze weapons, sharp enough to still cut today. And the army didn't stand alone. In nearby pits, researchers uncovered a wide variety of other clay figures, ones not meant for war. There were acrobats, captured mid-motion, their muscular forms showing great attention to human anatomy. Musicians with carefully detailed robes and instruments were placed as if they were ready to perform. Officials and administrators, dressed in court garments, stood calmly with scrolls in their hands. There were stable boys, grooms, and even clay ducks and swans near what appears to be an underground garden pond. These figures were not just decorations. They reflected the full life of the emperor's court and symbolized the services and pleasures he expected to enjoy in the afterlife. When they were first made, all of these figures were painted in bright, vivid colors. Special minerals and pigments were used to give them lifelike appearances. Skin was painted pink, armor in red or black, and robes in shades of blue, green, and white. But once the figures were exposed to air, the painted surfaces began to crack and peel away. Within minutes, the colors would begin to fade. Within hours, they were often completely gone. This is why most of the warriors we see today are the natural clay gray color, with only small traces of paint left behind. The damage was a major lesson for archaeologists. In the early days of the excavation, they didn't fully understand how fragile these materials were. As a result, many original details were lost forever, simply by removing the soil too quickly or not protecting the paint fast enough. That is one reason why, even decades later, many parts of the site remain untouched. Today, teams are working slowly, using new technologies to better preserve what they find. So far, 4 major pits have been discovered near the emperor's tomb. Pit 1 is the largest and holds the main army. Pit 2 contains cavalry units, chariots, and archers. Pit 3 appears to be the command center, with high-ranking officers. Pit 4 was found to be empty, possibly left unfinished when construction stopped after the emperor's death. But these are just a few of the known pits. In total, the entire necropolis, or City of the Dead, covers nearly 38 square miles. Archaeologists have found hundreds of other pits scattered around the complex. Some hold animals, others hold entertainers, and some still haven't been explored at all. And then there's the center of it all, the emperor's tomb. This is where Qin Shi Huang himself is believed to be buried. The tomb lies under a massive mound of earth, shaped like a low pyramid. According to ancient texts, this central chamber contains a model of the world: rivers made of flowing mercury, walls of bronze, and a ceiling painted with stars and constellations. It is said to contain treasures, rare materials, and the emperor's sealed coffin, but no one has opened it. The main tomb chamber remains untouched. No scientist, archaeologist, or official has ever stepped inside. It lies hidden beneath the earth, just as it has since the day it was sealed more than 2,000 years ago. But why? The tomb that no one dares to open. So here's why scientists are terrified of opening the tomb of China's first emperor. To understand the fear, we have to go back more than 2,000 years to the writings of a famous Chinese historian named Sima Qian. Sima Qian lived about a century after Qin Shi Huang's death. In his most well-known work, Records of the Grand Historian, he described the emperor's tomb in vivid detail. According to his account, the tomb wasn't just a simple burial chamber. It was a model of the empire itself. Inside, craftsmen built flowing rivers and great seas, not with water, but with liquid mercury. These rivers were meant to represent China's most famous waterways, like the Yangtze and the Yellow River. They were designed to flow through the tomb using mechanical systems, simulating the real movements of water. Sima Qian also wrote that the tomb included palaces and towers filled with rare treasures, as well as representations of mountains and stars. In his description, the ceiling of the tomb was painted with the night sky, and the floor was shaped like the landscape of China. These features were not just decorative, they were part of Qin Shi Huang's plan to control the world in death as he had in life. But what truly caught the attention of modern scientists were the warnings in Sima Qian's text. He claimed that the tomb was protected with deadly traps. Crossbows, he wrote, had been rigged to fire automatically at anyone who tried to break in. The weapons were hidden behind walls or ceilings, and they would be triggered if an intruder passed through. These traps were designed to kill instantly. They were a final line of defense meant to protect the emperor's body and treasures forever. At first, many historians thought these stories were exaggerations. After all, Sima Qian had never seen the tomb himself. He was reporting what others had told him long after the emperor's death. So for a long time, people assumed the tales of rivers of mercury and deadly booby traps were just part of a legend. Impressive, but not true. Then scientists began to test the area around the burial mound. In the early 2000s, teams working near the tomb noticed something strange. When they tested the soil for chemical content, they found extremely high levels of mercury, far more than would normally occur in nature. One measurement reached over 1,400 parts per billion, which was far above safe levels. Dozens of other tests around the mound showed mercury spread in patterns that matched what Sima Qian described. The idea of mercury flowing through channels underground suddenly didn't seem so unlikely anymore. This discovery shocked many people. Could the ancient stories actually be true? Experts now believe that there may still be mercury vapor trapped inside the sealed tomb. Mercury is a dangerous substance. Even small amounts of mercury vapor can cause serious health problems when inhaled. If the tomb were opened without special equipment and precautions, it could be extremely dangerous for anyone nearby. That is one major reason why scientists have chosen not to go in. And there's still another fear, the traps. If ancient engineers really did build mechanical crossbows and booby traps, and if those traps were made with durable materials like metal, they might still function. Some types of spring-loaded weapons can remain armed for centuries if undisturbed. If someone were to enter the tomb and accidentally trigger one, the result could be deadly.
Head, which comes in at an angle like this, up to the jugular. It really indicates that this was a short-range kill.
For these reasons, the central tomb chamber remains untouched. Scientists know it is there. They can detect its shape and size using modern tools like ground-penetrating radar, but no one has dared to break the seal. What will the future decide? You're probably wondering when the tomb will finally be opened. The honest answer is, no one knows. For decades, archaeologists, historians, and scientists have debated this exact question. Some believe it will happen one day, but only when the technology is safe enough to protect both the tomb and the people studying it. Others think it may never be opened at all. What everyone agrees on is that the risks are real and the decision cannot be rushed. One of the biggest concerns is preservation. We already know that when the terracotta warriors were first uncovered in 1974, their bright colors faded and peeled off almost immediately after being exposed to air. The painted surfaces had survived underground for over 2,000 years, but they couldn't survive even a few minutes in the open. That's just one example of how delicate the contents of the tomb might be. If the seal is broken too early, the treasures inside, if there are any, could be lost forever. That's why many experts say we must wait. They argue that only with future tools, maybe even decades from now, will we be able to explore the tomb safely. These tools would need to stabilize the environment, stop chemical reactions, and neutralize any toxins or traps before anyone goes inside. But waiting comes with risks too. China is a country with earthquakes, seasonal floods, and fast-growing cities. Over time, natural disasters could damage the underground chambers. Pollution from nearby industries might seep into the ground. There's also the threat of illegal digging or looting, which has already damaged many historical sites around the world. If the tomb is left completely untouched, someone or something could destroy it by accident, or worse, on purpose. To avoid that, researchers have started using non-invasive methods to study the area. These include advanced scanning systems, such as ground-penetrating radar and magnetometers. Some groups are even testing small robotic probes that could one day enter the tomb without opening it. These tools have already helped scientists map the shape and depth of the burial mound, but they still can't see through thick layers of stone, earth, and sealed walls. The deeper parts of the tomb remain invisible for now. So why do we care so much?